Since this is November and we just celebrated Veterans Day, I would just ask everyone to join me in a moment of gratitude for all of those who have served, many in the room today, and we thank you for that. Okay. Well, as most of you know, and maybe not, earlier this month, the town board unanimously adopted our 2022 annual operating budget and our 2022 capital budget plan. The town's operating budget is tax cap compliant, does not pierce the tax cap, and proposes an annual decrease to the average assessed home of approximately $4 or 0.77% across the three major town funds. The budget is available on our website at www.islipny.gov. Hard to believe that next week already is Thanksgiving, and as we celebrate with friends and family and make plans to enter into the holiday shopping season, we'd just like to encourage everyone once again to join us in supporting local businesses every day, but especially on Small Business Saturday. Small businesses, we all know, are the backbone of our community, and we're fortunate in Islip to have a variety of shops and restaurants who call our town their home. So now more than ever, having been through COVID, these local businesses need our support. So join us on Saturday, November 27th, in supporting local merchants this holiday season and throughout the year. So lastly, as we make our way into the holidays, please take note of the following celebrations happening in our town that the town is directly involved with. On November 29th, outside of Town Hall at 5 p.m., we will have our annual menorah lighting. The Town of Islip Holiday Parade and Tree Lighting returns this year, sponsored by the Chamber of Commerce in Islip on Saturday, December 4th. I believe they're kicking off from Town Hall West at 3 o'clock and should be down in this vicinity about 4. Beginning December 7th and running through December 22nd, the Town of Islip Holiday Light Show will return Tuesdays and Thursdays from 5:30 to 8. Bring the family to see the lights, drive in your car through the 1/8 of a mile light display on the grounds of historic Brookwood Hall. And I really want to thank all of the elves in the Parks Department who really put their heart and soul into gathering up some decorations and really providing a very appealing and pleasant experience for families for the holidays. And lastly, on December 3rd, we will show our holiday movie, The Christmas Chronicles. Gates open at 5 o'clock. Cars will drive through the light display and then park on the field for the movie, which begins promptly at 6:30. So we hope to see you and your family there. So without further ado, we will move to the business before us today. So we'll start this afternoon with our scheduled public hearings, and I would ask the town clerk, Olga Murray, to please read the first hearing notice.
Hearing number 1 is to consider amending the Town of Islip Uniform Traffic Code as follows. Schedule G, stop and yield intersections. Schedule I, school speed limits. And Schedule J, parking, stopping, and standing regulations.
Any questions? Hearing none, motion?
I'll make a motion to approve that, close the public hearing, and approve the changes.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Madam Clerk, if you would please read the next hearing notice.
Hearing number 2 is to consider entering into an airline use and lease agreement with Frontier Airlines, Inc.
Again, are there any questions? Hearing none, motion?
Move that we close the public hearing offer the resolution for its adoption.
We have a motion, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilwoman Mullen, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, it is approved. And I do believe that concludes our public hearings?
Yes.
Madam Clerk? Yes, thank you. Okay, we will now move then to the public portion. We do have a number of speakers who have signed up to speak. Again, public portion, we're here to listen to you. You have 3 minutes to address the board on any topic that you have concerns about or want to offer compliments about. We're here to listen. So the first speaker today, Elizabeth Citino, C-I-T-E-N-O.
Hi, I'm Elizabeth Citino, Seda. I have spoken with Mary Kate before. I'm here because over the Forster Avenue, the work that's being done by Marshall Brand. It started on Sunday, October 17th. There were a few flyers out in front of the park, around the park, looking for volunteers to come in and do some work in the park. I called the town, I spoke to somebody in the Parks Department, when I saw that to see what the scope of this work was, they had no idea what was going on. And because the flyers disappeared, I dropped the ball and thought that it was taken care of, it was squashed. Well, October 17th, he had a whole crew out there with a bobcat bulldozing the foliage. He his thing, as Trish, Mary Kate knows, he wants to take away all the non-native plants in that park and make it go back to what it was. But like us here, none of us were here 180 years ago. We are all from different parts of the world, and our town came from the Germans, the Dutch, the English. They brought with them pieces of their homeland. They built that park, they built our community. So after 80, 100 years, aren't those plants now transplanted and native? Why are we removing all the foliage from this park? I have the original flyer, which was misleading, saying that they were just doing a park cleanup. So they got the high school kids who, you know, the high school kids going home, they're gonna save the world, tell them something and they'll fly with it. They are exposing the backyards of the neighbors. There's no taking away privacy. You had told me, Mayor Kate, that he was done. He did what he was doing that Sunday, on a Sunday where there was no recourse. And I'm grateful that you called back that same day. But he's out there every day. He has not stopped. He told me he was going to continue this. He's very proud of his work. He continued to defoliate and remove the greenery in that park. And I was going to ask you, how much of this park is native foliage? What are we removing? Well, he was back there Sunday with another group, and I have a flyer that I'll leave with you, copies for you. 95% of that greenery in the park is non-native. He intends to remove 95% of the greenery in this park. There was supposed to be no trees cut down. At least 6 to 7 trees were cut down. And if you want to say that it was overcrowding, where he planted, that one area that he planted, he put 35 bushes and trees in the area of what you're sitting in now. You cannot grow 35 plus bushes in that small trees of pecan, chestnuts, whatever is a native tree. He's cut down maple trees.
Elizabeth, your time is up, but I would ask, is the Parks Commissioner here? I can't see if Tom is here. He's not, he stepped out, but the Deputy Commissioner is here. Deirdre, would you please go out with Elizabeth and get every bit of these details, please?
Mary Kate had told me that it was because they had volunteers. Byron Lake is a park that needs cleanup. Why
Okay,
would this
Elizabeth,
volunteers
again.
not go to Byron Lake and use that park?
You're
show
raising
what
some
native
very
plants
good,
could be.
points, and I would just ask you to share it with the department. Thank you for coming down.
Claudia, can you step outside also and just get her contact information, please? Thank you.
Next speaker, Robert Culphin.
Possibly Albert? Albert Copeland?
Oh, I'm so sorry, Albert, yes, Albert Culphin.
Not a problem, close enough.
He was here
Albert
yesterday.
Copeland, 154 Edgewater Road, Oakdale. Good afternoon, Supervisor Carpenter, Town Board
Albert, if
members.
you don't mind,
Ah,
so that we can hear you better. Thank you.
Thank you. I fell in love with and moved into the Islip community over 35 years ago. I worked long and hard to achieve my home, my lifestyle, which had an ambiance and prestige. After a day's work, coming home, passing the Westbrook Pond would signal to me the serenity of home. Entering Islip Boulevard would take me to the gated and secure namesake of my community, the Islip Mansion. Past the clock tower, through the mysterious arches, and around the Pig Wallow Pond, to my small little space in a historic community. So now, having more time to enjoy my neighborhood, I'm sad to say that it's fallen by the wayside. Westbrook Pond is gone. The mansion, surrounding properties are neglected and fallen into disrepair. Pig Wallow Pond was demolished and replaced with a cement swimming pool that has been allowed to become an eyesore and breeding ground for mosquitoes. Byron Lake Park, once a backdrop to a bridal photo shoot, is now in shameful condition. My neighborhood is deteriorating under the watchful eyes of our governing officials. Promises to secure and clean up these properties have not been kept, and every day is a reminder of days gone by, possibly never to return. I, along with my community, feel we deserve and expect more from our elected officials. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Albert. I just want to, I have to take exception with your statement about promises have not been kept. As far as the disrepair of the mansion and everything that's happened there, we as a town have done everything we legally can do. And this town board took action at a meeting on a Tuesday, and by Friday, they went in and boarded up what we were allowed to do. So to say that, you know, we've been very careful not to make promises. I can't speak for other levels of government, but it is private property, and people do have rights. So I appreciate your passion, I appreciate, you know, and I've been down there, I know Councilman O'Connor, who represents that area on the town board, has been down there on numerous times, trying to do what we can legally do. And hopefully, you know, God willing, I know that there have been many discussions with potential buyers for the property, and hopefully that will happen and it will be restored and something we can all once again be very proud of and cherish, continue to cherish.
Madam Supervisor, wasn't Pig Wallow cleaned
Excuse
up?
me, he's speaking. He wasn't even talking about it. Please don't bring it up. Go ahead, finish.
No, I just want to, you know, not so that you're ignored, you know, the work that you have done is indeed appreciated. It's noticeable, but there's so much left to be done. I don't know if that's in your power, but promises from the board to drain the pond have been going on.
Okay,
also.
so as far as Pig Wallow is concerned, as a matter of fact, there is a meeting tomorrow with the Parks Department and the Town Attorney's Office to determine what, again, legally we can do, because the ownership is not just the town's, part of that is privately owned. So again, we can only do what we have jurisdiction over, but it is on the radar. They are working on it.
The meeting tomorrow is also with the private property owners who own a third of the pond,
Okay.
or half of the pond.
Okay, so we're not,
The wheels are turning. they're
they
just
are,
turning
slowly, always slowly.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker, Andy Cross.
Cross, Station on New York. Once again, I'm here about the NYS real property tax line on my tax bill. As the price of housing has gone up, the real property tax should go down. When you blamed last year's, or a couple of years ago, outrageous 41% tax hike on the decreasing price of housing, that decrease has been wiped out, and the 41 tax hike should be wiped out and given back to the Islip taxpayers. Please reduce this tax by at least 41%, and all the other times the tax went up and should have went down due to the price of housing going up. And can you tell us why the tax rate went up 6%? Someone should be fired for an absurd tax hike, let alone 6%. The town board has no clue how to run a town without tax hikes. At least 2 previous town boards had no tax hikes at all. Why does it cost so much more to run the town? Raising taxes and fees is driving everyone out. No one can afford 41% tax hikes and 51% tax hikes in taxes. If the previous administrations did it with no tax hikes, why can't you? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Cross. Next speaker, Lee Kennedy.
I just want to pass this out. Everybody just take a look.
This was from the first lady who spoke. I don't know if anybody wants to see it. She made copies.
My name is Lee Kennedy, 3 Princess Gate, Oakdale, New York. The reason I'm here today is because, one, that big tree everyone talked about, and the typhoon came down with my tree. Say thank you to the town, they're doing their part. Hopefully we'll finish in picking up that tree that's on the street. So I say thank you. Most of them say thank you to the town for helping some of my neighbors, Mr. McManus, and getting some trees down, and 2 people from Beautification. All this happened during election time. It was brought up before that the town did something about it, and they're really appreciative. You know, we're not allowed, they say we might be tough, but we're appreciative when something gets done. So for the things that have been done, I say thank you. For the things that aren't done, I'm not happy. Now, you talked about the pond that's owned by someone, it's been owned by someone for over 100 years. And that picture you see, the first person that owned that pond, owned a segment of that pond. It's a small segment. Okay, the second owner owned the same segment. The town came and changed the pond. They cemented it, while the other owner owned it, as well as the town, which owned the majority of it. Number 3, town, then we had a third owner, and they skated on it, nothing changed. So don't tell me you have to work with the person. That's the important part. You own the majority of the pond, and if the majority of the pond is in a disarray on the outside, and I'll take a step back. I thank the town for, after I said there's a danger, they came and cleaned the dangerous part, but the whole pond is unkept. Mr. O'Connor, you represent us now. I'm gonna invite you to come look.
I've been there.
You know, I want you to see this.
I've been there.
I'm just talking about the grounds of the pond. I have pictures of that, which I'm also gonna share with everyone up there. But I don't, to say you have to work with somebody, it's not fair. You know, I spend too much time thanking you. You know, it could be a showcase. It could be a showcase. When my tree came down, a neighbor said, can you cut 3 inches of it so I can count the rings? I'll leave it for the community to share as people walk into the artist colony very proud and learn. And part of that pond is the artist colony. It's a showcase. You should be proud of it. You should do something to make it nice. It's too deep now. Why? I don't know, I'm not an engineer, but there's too much stuff on the bottom of it, which makes the pond deeper and deeper each year. You know, we're not asking for anything abnormal, it's your section. The section that's owned by someone else is manicured. The section owned by you is not manicured. The town and the community, I'm going, and the community is willing to plant things that will not make the town have to come take care of it. I mean, we want to work with the town, but the town should work also with the majority of the people in the community.
Thank you, Ms. Kennedy, and
Leave it?
Pictures?
Yes. I don't want to come back here anymore, I really don't.
well, thank you for coming down, and as you heard earlier, we are working on it, and there is a meeting tomorrow. Next speaker, Pat Montanino.
Pat Montanino, East Islip. All the board members that are sitting here right now are guilty of violating the public's trust, misappropriating taxpayer funds, violating the code of ethics and financial disclosure laws, and the list goes on. As far as town board meetings, there is no executive order for municipalities, ever. Municipalities do their own thing. Now, the town of Islip has a parking program at MacArthur Airport where millions and millions of dollars, they're unaccounted for. The recycling program, millions of dollars unaccounted for, but it was given to a felon. And you let him keep the money. The town has claimed the shelter for $9 million when only $4.1 million was passed for a new animal shelter, plus $1 million in so-called donation grant. When I went to school, 4 plus 1 only equaled 5, not 9 million. So where'd the 4 million come from? The town is also tampering with town elections. That's a fact. I caught a DPW guy putting signs down for elections. I caught him red-handed. I walked right up to him. He had them in the front seat of his car. He was putting them down at train stations. We, the taxpayers, demand that our town be held accountable for their secrecy and illegal funneling of money. Our town board seems to have no shame in voting with personal financial interests, not that of their constituents. We vote, we pay taxes, and we hope and our expectations that is for the betterment of our community, not to line the pockets of self-indulgent politicians. We deserve better. When I put in for foils that residents need to know, when I went to school, you learned. You learned how to speak. But when I put in a foil and the residents want to know, simple terms, the purchases of any appliances for the town of Islip. After a diligent search, no documents are found. Yet, I got a DPW truck here in front of Home Depot. He was picking up refrigerators and stoves. What's he do? You know, billing it to the taxpayers? But they're right on his truck. But yet, the town FOIL says, nope, they never put in for anything. Then you've got here, contracts for any computer consultants from 2019 to present. After a diligent search, no documents found. Well, that's funny because the town wanted to run Michael Zazinski. And in it, they told Newsday he was working on a contract basis with the town assessor's office. That's funny because it says that there are no consultants. Then another FOIL was asked for the complete cost of the animal shelter, in Central Islip, documents to include costs and where financial resources were acquired from. The answer was, my request needs to be more specific. I'm sorry, how much more specific is costs and where financial resources came from? Another one is disclosure for affidavits for town officers and employees. Every employee has to sign an affidavit. Well, my answer to that was, I need to be more specific. How much more specific can you be for disclosure of the affidavits for town employees?
Okay, Ms. Montanino, we did give you extra time as you called and requested today. If you have any documents that you would like to leave with us, we'd be happy to.
There was no extra time.
Yes, there was.
There was no extra time. I heard the buzzer go off. And the other thing, I will leave all bond offerings that this town board has done. What do the taxpayers owe? My request needs to be more specific.
Okay, well, mine can't be any
How
more
more
specific. Your time is
specific?
up now. Thank you.
How more specific? No.
Thank
You're
you.
stealing from the taxpayers.
Thank you, Ms. Montanino. Next speaker,
Okay.
Greg Pepe.
Oh, thank you. Oh, well, I'm getting this for you, by everybody. Because they don't want us to know where the money is.
Greg Pepe, Islip resident. Talk about frauding the public. I filed for the 4 contract agreements, actually 5, of the ambulance districts that represent the people, the taxpayers. Now, in the contract agreements, what's very interesting, with the Central Islip Hog Ambulance, they started billing back in 2019. There's a clause in the contract, if initialed by the signatory, which is Ms. Carpenter, that it waives any co-payments due by any Islip Town resident. Now, this applies to Central Islip Hog District. It does not apply to Exchange Ambulance, my district. It applies to the Brentwood Legion Ambulance, which you initialed, and also for the Brentwood Legion, all right? So these people, as I understand from the billing company up in Williamsville, New York, people from the Bayshore Brightwaters Ambulance are paying co-payments when in fact the town is obligated to pay those co-payments to the services rendered to those residents. Okay, so who's frauding who here? If the ambulance company bills the portion of the co-payment, the co-payment to the person, to the patient, and then in turn bills the town to offset that co-payment, what's going on? What is going on with this? Then you sign the agreement for Central Islip Hog Ambulance on October 4th, which goes back to January 1st and which expires December 31st. So what are we making up these contract agreements? Where's the money that the taxpayers pay for the ambulance districts, which goes back to January 1st when that money is appropriated? So people living in Islip, East Islip, Great River, Islip Terrace, whoever's serviced by the Exchange Ambulance, it's not that the inability to pay the bill. Why are bills being generated in the first place for the people to be paying when you initialed it? AC is initialed in the clause in the contract where you're assuming to pay for the co-payments up to 5% of the taxable revenue for that district, okay? Why are you just discriminating against people living in the Exchange Ambulance area, all right? Well, you have statements stating that it's an inability for us to pay. No, it's not an inability to pay. It's that we're being frauded, where you're giving discriminatory action to other residents, where you're overlooking their co-payments, and you expect us to foot the bill to these co-payments. My mom has received so far 5 billing statements from this company upstate New York. I have them here, Angie, all right? You told me I'm bringing up valid points when I spoke to you on the phone about this subject, all right? But it's beyond that. I'm not looking for an answer from the town officials here. I'm going beyond that, all right?
Well, thank
So
you very much.
don't answer to me. You may have to answer to higher authorities.
Okay, thank you so much.
No,
Next
beyond that.
speaker, Patricia Lesmeister, or Leesmeister.
Yes. My name is Patricia Lesmeister. I live in Central Islip. I lived there almost 40 years. There's that vacant house diagonal across the street from me. The man has died. He has an estate. It's on record. And then the wife died, okay? She was in the house for 5 days. They found her dead in the house. The house is such a mess outside. This is a few years ago now I'm talking. The doors are up to the windows. In the beginning, someone was coming and mowing the lawn. I believe it was the bank. I don't know what bank it is. But whoever it was stopped. I came down to the town where I pay my taxes and find out who owns this house. We can't reveal who owns it. Yet I can go online and see where everybody, what taxes they're paying and where they live. There's cats there, there's mice. Now we have people that have a business, are bringing all their equipment in their trailer, parking it in that driveway 6 days a week. I've seen gas cans and all this equipment. This is professional equipment. And every morning at 8 o'clock, they come and drag it out on it, hook it up to their truck and go. This happens 8 in the morning, 5, 6 o'clock at night. Why are they allowed to do this? It's dangerous. And who owns this house? Then I was told that someone's interested. Well, if someone's so interested, why don't they get someone over there and mow the lawn? The house is falling apart. The roof is leaking. The siding has been ripped off. What's going to happen next, Angie, what I'm afraid of is squatters. And once they move in, we've had it. And I just want something done. I did complain to the fire marshal, and I did complain to the housing, but things take time. I realize that. But meanwhile, winter's coming, and that's what the neighborhood is afraid of.
All right, Pat, the Commissioner of Public Safety is here, Chief Fire Marshal is here, so perhaps they can step out in the hall with you and you can provide
Okay,
more
you.
details that will be helpful so that hopefully we can expedite the situation.
Thank you.
Thank you. That's it as far as those who have signed up to speak. Do I have a motion to close the public hearing?
Yes, I'll make that motion to close the public hearing so that we can move on with the agenda for the day.
We have a motion to close, second.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to close the public hearing. Public hearing is closed. And before we move to the agenda, I just need to make a correction. The movie night, the movie starts at 7:30, not 6:30. So you have a little bit more time to gather up your picnic and come down there. Okay, let us go to the first item on the agenda, which is the meeting of the Town of Islip Industrial Development Agency. Motion to convene. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Councilman O'Connor. All those in favor, opposed? The meeting of the Islip Industrial Development Agency meeting is convened, a quorum being present. Mr. Walzer, if you would.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, Madam Chair and members of the agency board. John Walzer, 40 Nassau Avenue, Islip, New York. I have several items for your consideration today. The first is to approve the minutes from the agency board meeting on October 27th of this year.
Do we have a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Motion by Councilwoman Nolan, second by Councilman Cochran. All those in favor, opposed? It is approved.
The next item for your consideration is an inducement resolution between the agency and East West Industries at 2002 Orville Drive North in Ronkonkoma. East West is one of our aerospace and defense manufacturers. They make aircraft seating, life support equipment, and ground support equipment. They will be increasing their footprint in this multi-tenanted building by more than 50% for a total of over 75,000 square feet. They'll be signing a new 10-year lease and increasing their headcount from 80 employees to 92.
Any questions?
Make a motion to approve.
Motion by Councilman Cochran,
Second.
second by Councilwoman Bergen. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Approved.
The next item for your consideration is also an inducement resolution between the agency and Designs for Vision at 10 Orville Drive, Bohemia. This is another expansion of one of our manufacturing companies. Designs Provision designs, engineers, and manufactures optical and illumination devices used by surgeons, dentists, and other clinical specialists. The purchase of 10 Orville Drive will be the second building for the company. It's around the corner from their existing facility at 4000 Betts Highway. This project represents a $7.5 million capital investment. They will be adding a minimum of 16 new jobs to their current headcount of 190.
Any questions? Motion by Councilman O'Connor, second.
Second.
By Councilman Bergen. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Approved.
The next item for consideration is an authorizing resolution for a project we induced at last month's meeting, Great River 2 LLC at 3040 Vets Highway, Bohemia. This project involves the demolition of the former Bound and Bus Terminal and the construction of a new 48,360 square foot industrial building.
Any questions?
Motion.
Motion by Councilman Cochran, second.
Second.
By Councilman Bergen. All those in favor? Opposed? Approved.
The next item for consideration is also an authorizing resolution for a project we induced at the September meeting. This resolution between the agency and Venture One Development Services involves the construction of a 122,000 square foot industrial building at 2950 Vets Highway, Bohemia.
Any questions? Motion?
Motion.
Motion by Councilman Bergen, second. By Councilman O'Connor. All those in favor? Opposed? Approved.
The next item for your consideration is a resolution consenting to a rooftop lease agreement at 1000 Sylvan Avenue in Bayport.
Any questions? Motion?
Motion.
Motion by Councilman Mullins, second by Councilman Cochran. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Approved.
Okay, the next item for consideration is a resolution consenting to a tenant at 100 MJ Boulevard in Brentwood.
Any questions? Motion?
Motion.
Motion by Councilman O'Connor, second.
Second.
By Councilman Mullen. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Approved.
The next item for your consideration is a resolution authorizing mortgage financing at 555 Prime Place in Hauppauge, with no mortgage tax exemption provided with this financing.
Any questions? Motion?
Motion.
Motion by Councilman Cochran, second. By Councilman O'Connor. All those in favor? Opposed? Approved.
The next item is also a resolution authorizing mortgage financing at 500 Prime Place in Hauppauge, also with no mortgage tax exemption provided.
Motion by Councilman O'Connor, second.
Second.
By Councilman Mullen. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Approved.
And the last item I have for your consideration is a resolution to amend and adopt the uniform tax exemption policy to allow for sales tax only exemptions for certain qualifying projects.
Any questions? Motion?
Motion.
Motion by Councilman Cochran, second.
Second.
Second by Councilman O'Connor. All those in favor? Opposed? Approved.
That's all the business I have for you today.
Thank you very much. We'll have a motion to adjourn.
Motion.
Motion by Councilman Mullins, second.
Second.
By Councilman O'Connor. All those in favor? Opposed? We stand adjourned. Thank you very much, Mr. Walzer. Next item is the meeting of the Town of Islip Resource Recovery Agency. I'll call for a motion to convene. Motion by Councilman O'Connor, second by Councilman Cochran. All those in favor? Opposed? We are convened. A quorum being present. If you would, Mr. Commissioner.
Madam Chair, members of the agency board, Martin Ballou, President of the Islip Resource Recovery Agency, 401 Main Street, Islip, New York. I have a couple items for consideration tonight. It's the approval of the minutes for the October 19, 2021 agency board meeting.
I'll make a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilman O'Connor. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Approved.
Next is a resolution authorizing the president to execute an agreement between the agency and EFPR Group CPAs, PLLC, to provide independent auditing and as-needed accounting services to the agency for the years ending 2021 through 2023.
Are there any questions?
Motion.
Motion by Councilman Cochran, second.
Second.
By Councilwoman Bergen. All those in favor? Opposed? Approved.
And the last item is a resolution authorizing the president to execute an order of consent on behalf of the agency and to deliver same to the regional office of the New York State DEC and to take such other and further action as required to fulfill the terms of said.
Thank you. Any questions?
Motion.
Motion by Councilman Mullins, second.
Second.
By Councilwoman Bergen. All those in favor? Opposed? Approved. Is there any other business? Motion by Councilman O'Connor to
Second.
adjourn, second by Councilman Cochran. All those in favor, opposed, we stand adjourned. Thank you. Okay, let us move to item 3 on the agenda, authorization for the supervisor to enter into a rabies vaccination services contract with the Suffolk County Department of Health Services for the provision of rabies vaccines at no cost to the town. Any questions?
Motion to
by
approve.
Councilman Bergen. Second?
Second.
By Council Mullen. All those in favor? Opposed? It is approved. Next item is the cleanup and board up resolutions. Taryn?
Taryn Joel, Assistant Town Attorney, 655 Main Street, Islip, New York. Good afternoon, Madam Supervisor, and members of the town board, town clerk. Number 1, to board and clean up the premises located at 54 Division Avenue, West Seaville. On this vacant and unsecured property, there now exists an unsecured shed, an unsecured detached garage with overgrown vegetation and litter and debris, which constitutes a nuisance and presents a fire, safety, and health hazard. Notice of this hearing was provided to all known persons with a property interest in this fence.
Are there any questions?
No.
Motion by Councilman
Second.
Cochran, second by Councilman Bergen. All those in favor? Opposed? Approved.
Number 2 has been withdrawn as it is now in compliance. And number 3 has also been withdrawn as it is now in compliance.
And
all I
that's
have.
it?
Yep.
Okay, and Taryn, if you would, just make note of that 14 Julie Crescent.
Mhm.
I have a feeling we're going to be doing something on that pretty soon.
And that was in Central Islip.
Central Islip, yep,
Thank
14.
you.
Thank you. Next item on the agenda are the bid awards. Are there any questions? Hearing
No.
none. Motion?
Motion.
Motion by Councilwoman Bergen, second.
Second.
By Councilwoman Mullen. All those in favor? Opposed? Approved. Next item are the option year resolutions. Any questions?
Motion to approve.
Motion by Councilwoman
Second.
Bergen, second by Councilman Cochran. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Approved. Item 7, authorization for the town clerk to advertise for public hearing to consider amending the Town of Islip Uniform Traffic Code. Questions?
Motion.
Motion by Councilman O'Connor, second.
Second.
By Councilwoman Mullen. All those in favor? Opposed? Approved. Item 8, the appropriation transfers. Are there any questions? Hearing none. Motion?
Motion.
Motion by Councilman Cochran, second.
Second.
By Councilwoman Mullen. All those in favor? Opposed? Approved. Item 9, authorization to execute a renewal to the agreement with Calais America to provide service and maintenance for the parking management program. Any questions? Hearing none. Motion?
Motion.
Motion by Councilman O'Connor, second.
Second.
Second by Councilman Cochran. All those in favor? Opposed? It is approved. Item 10, authorization for the tax receiver to deposit and secure all monies received by the office for the 21-22 tax year in interest-bearing accounts in a number of appropriate banks. Any questions?
I just want to note on that one, there is a typo in the resolve clause. It should be 21-22.
Oh, okay.
Throughout the whole resolution, so I'll correct that and get it to the town clerk.
Okay, thank you very much.
It's correct in the whereas clause, though.
It's correct in the whereas clause,
Okay.
And
not
that's-
not in the resolve clause.
Just checking.
Yeah, and the resolved is what matters. Okay, thank you very much, JR. Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Motion to approve with that correction being made by Councilman Bergen, second.
Second.
By Council Mullen. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Approved. Item 11, Town Board approval to accept a drainage easement in favor of the Town of Islip in connection with the premises located at 1060 Walnut Avenue, Bohemia. Any questions? Motion?
Motion.
A motion by Councilman Mullen, second by Councilman O'Connor. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Approved. Item 12, acceptance of a drainage easement in favor of the Town of Islip in regards to the property located at 1056 Walnut Avenue in Bohemia. Same motion, same second. All those in favor? Opposed? Approved. Item 13, authorization for supervisor to enter into various agreements for programs or events to be held throughout the town to be funded either by registration fees or grant funds. Any questions?
Motion.
Motion by Councilman Cochran, second.
Second.
By Councilman O'Connor. All those in favor? Opposed? Approved. Item 14, authorization for supervisor to execute an amendment to the professional services agreement with Nelson and Pope to include the engineering services necessary to enhance the spray park at Roberto Clemente Park in Brentwood. Any questions?
I'll make that motion.
Thank you. Motion by Councilman Bergen, second.
Second.
By Councilman Cochran. All those in favor? Opposed? It is approved. Item 15 is next. Authorization for the supervisor to enter into a contract extension with William Laposa for golf professional services provided at the Holbrook Country Club. Are there any questions? Hearing none. Motion. Motion by Councilman O'Connor, second. By Councilwoman Mullen. All those in favor? Opposed? It is approved. Item 16 is an authorization for the supervisor to apply for and accept grant funding from the Suffolk County Office for the Aging for the continued provision of a nutrition program to senior citizen residents. Any questions?
Motion.
Motion by Councilwoman Mullen.
Second.
Second by Councilwoman Bergen. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? It is approved. Next are the special events, parades, tree and menorah lighting ceremonies. Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Motion by Councilman Cochran, second.
Second.
By Councilman Bergen. All those in favor? Opposed? Approved. Item 18, appointment of Andrew T. Whitman III to fill the vacancy in the position of Receiver of Taxes effective November 22nd, 2021. I'll make that motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Councilman Cochran. All those in favor? Opposed? It is approved. Item 19, authorization for the supervisor to apply and accept Child Care Stabilization Grant funding from the New York State Office of Children and Family Services for the purpose of offsetting expenses incurred to prevent, prepare for, and respond to the coronavirus epidemic, a pandemic rather. Any questions? Motion?
Motion.
Motion by Councilwoman Mullen, second.
Second.
By Councilman Bergen. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Approved. Item 20, authorization for the supervisor to execute any and all documentation with the USACE and the New York State DEC for any additional associated authority having jurisdiction for the completion of the maintenance dredging of the Atlantique Marina. Any questions?
Motion.
Motion by Councilman Cochran, second.
Second.
By Councilman Mullen. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Approved. Item 21, authorization for the supervisor to enter into an agreement with the FAA for the use of water provided in order for the airport to install irrigation as part of an airport beautification project at Long Island MacArthur Airport. Any questions? Motion?
Motion.
Motion by Councilman O'Connor, second by Councilman Bergen. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Approved. Next is an authorization for the supervisor to execute an agreement with Johnson Pukata and Lucchese Engineers PC for engineering and design services related to the rehabilitation of certain taxiways and asphalt pavement, reconstruction of guidance signs, and reconstruction of the edge lighting system at Long Island MacArthur Airport. Any questions?
Motion.
Motion by Councilman Cochran, second.
Second.
By Councilwoman Mullen. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Approved. Item 23, authorization for the supervisor to enter into a professional services agreement with Arthur J. Gallagher to provide insurance consultation and risk management services to the town of Islip for a term of 2 years. Any questions? Motion?
Motion.
Motion by Councilman Bergen, second.
Second.
By Councilman Mullen. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? It is approved. Item 24, authorization for the supervisor to enter into an agreement with Gatekeeper Systems, Inc., TNC Op software application related to transportation network companies operating at Long Island MacArthur Airport. Any questions? Motion?
Motion.
Motion by Councilman Cochran, second.
Second.
By Councilwoman Bergen. All those in favor? Opposed? Approved. Final item on the agenda is an approval to continue to retain Kaplan Kirsch and Rockwell LLP as outside counsel in connection with property development at Long Island MacArthur Airport. Are there any questions?
Motion.
Motion by Councilman O'Connor, second.
Second.
By Councilman Bergen. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Approved. And I do believe that that takes care of all the items on the agenda. Motion to adjourn.
Adjourn.
Thank
Motion.
you by Councilman Bergen,
Second.
second by Councilman Cochran. All those in favor? Opposed? We stand adjourned. Have a nice afternoon, and thank you, everyone.
Thank you.